Did you know that some birds travel distances equal to several trips around the Earth every year? The Arctic tern, for example, holds the record for the longest migration, traveling up to 44,000 miles between the Arctic and the Antarctic. How do these tiny creatures manage such feats without GPS or a compass? Bird migration is one of the most fascinating and mysterious natural phenomena on our planet. But why do these birds embark on these perilous journeys, crossing oceans and continents? Stay with me to discover the secrets behind these incredible aerial adventures. Bird migration is a regular seasonal movement made by many species between their breeding grounds and their wintering grounds. This global phenomenon concerns about 40% of bird species, and migratory routes can vary considerably, ranging from a few hundred to several thousand miles. Migratory birds generally follow well-defined routes called flyways, which cross entire continents and even oceans. These journeys are often linked to the changing seasons. This allows birds to benefit from the best conditions to find food, reproduce, and survive. So why do birds migrate? The main reason is the search for food resources and suitable breeding conditions. Temperate and Arctic regions offer an abundance of food during the warm months, thanks to the explosion of insects, fruits, and seeds, creating ideal conditions for raising their young. However, as winter approaches, food resources dwindle drastically, and weather conditions become hostile. To survive, birds head to milder regions, usually south, where food is available year-round. Migration therefore allows birds to exploit the advantages of different regions throughout the seasons. It's an adaptive strategy that maximizes their chances of survival and reproduction. Migration is a demanding process that requires meticulous preparation. Before the big departure, birds enter a phase called hyperphagia, where they considerably increase their food intake. This allows them to store fat reserves, which will serve as fuel during the journey. Some birds can almost double their body weight by accumulating these reserves. For example, the Eurasian woodcock can increase its body mass by 55% before migrating. These energy reserves are crucial, especially for species that cross vast expanses without the possibility of refueling, like oceans or deserts. In addition, birds renew their feathers to ensure maximum aerodynamic efficiency. Good plumage reduces air resistance and reduces energy expenditure during flight. Migration is far from a relaxing journey. Migratory birds face many challenges that test their endurance and survival. The first challenge is physical. Covering thousands of miles requires considerable energy. Birds must maintain sustained flight for long periods, often without a break. Weather conditions can also be unpredictable, with storms, headwinds, and extreme temperatures. Then there are the geographical obstacles. Crossing oceans, mountains, and deserts is a high risk. For example, the willow warbler travels a migratory route that forces it to cross the Sahara, an arid expanse where opportunities for rest and refueling are almost non-existent. Human dangers are also present. Habitat destruction, collisions with buildings and wind turbines, as well as illegal hunting, threaten migratory bird populations. Light pollution from cities can also disorient nocturnal birds, taking them off course. One of the most amazing aspects of migration is the ability of birds to navigate vast distances with remarkable accuracy. But how do they avoid getting lost? Birds use a combination of several orientation mechanisms. Some have a kind of internal compass, allowing them to detect the Earth's magnetic field. Research suggests that structures containing magnetite, a mineral sensitive to magnetism, could be present in their beak or brain, acting like a real natural GPS. Others rely on visual cues. Landscapes, such as mountains, rivers, and coastlines, serve as landmarks to navigate along the way. The position of the sun during the day and stars at night is also used to determine their direction. Some species, like pigeons, use smells to orient themselves, recognizing the characteristic scents of different regions. These combined mechanisms allow birds to follow precise routes, even on their first migration, without the help of their parents. Many bird species are famous for their impressive migrations. The Arctic tern, for example, as we mentioned, holds the record for the longest migration, traveling up to 44,000 miles round trip between the North and South Poles. It thus enjoys 2 summers a year and sees more daylight than any other creature on Earth. The white stork, a symbol of good luck in many cultures, migrates from Europe to sub-Saharan Africa, covering about 6,000 miles. It avoids flying over the sea by using thermal currents above land to facilitate its flight. The common cuckoo is known not only for its brood parasitic behavior, but also for its impressive migration from Europe to Central Africa. What is remarkable is that young cuckoos migrate alone, without parental guidance, relying on their innate instinct to find their way. The common swift is another fascinating bird. It spends most of its life in flight and can stay aloft for 10 months without landing, feeding, drinking, and even sleeping while flying. It migrates between Europe and equatorial Africa, covering thousands of miles without touching down. Climate change is having significant effects on bird migration. Temperature variations, changes in rainfall patterns, and extreme weather events are disrupting migratory cycles. Some species are starting to migrate earlier in the spring or delaying their departure in the fall, which can lead to a mismatch with the availability of food resources. For example, if insects emerge before the arrival of insectivorous birds, the latter may suffer from food shortages. In addition, essential habitats for rest and refueling during migration are threatened by rising sea levels and desertification. The loss of these critical sites can have dramatic consequences for migratory bird populations. The conservation of migratory birds requires international cooperation to protect habitats along their migratory routes and to mitigate the impact of climate change. Bird migration is full of fascinating facts that demonstrate the incredible adaptation of these creatures. For example, the bar-headed goose holds the record for the highest flight, crossing the Himalayas at an altitude of over 30,000 feet. At this altitude, oxygen is scarce and temperatures are freezing, but these geese have developed amazing physiological adaptations to survive in these extreme conditions. The American golden plover is another impressive example. It can fly at an average speed of 40 miles per hour and cover more than 2,500 miles non-stop over the Pacific Ocean. This means it flies for several days without stopping or feeding, relying entirely on its fat reserves. Studies have shown that some migratory birds know where to go from birth without ever having followed their parents. This is the case of the bar-tailed godwit, which migrates from Alaska to New Zealand. These young birds undertake this long journey alone, guided by an innate migratory instinct. The V formations you may have observed in geese are not due to chance. By flying in formation, each bird benefits from the updraft created by the wing beats of the one in front of it, thus reducing air resistance. This strategy saves up to 20% energy. Finally, some species, like the common swift, are able to sleep in flight during their migration. They use unihemispheric sleep, where one half of the brain remains active while the other rests. This adaptation allows them to stay aloft for long periods without getting exhausted. Bird migration is an extraordinary testament to the resilience, adaptation, and ingenuity of nature. These epic journeys, undertaken year after year, challenge the limits of endurance and orientation. Understanding why birds migrate allows us to further appreciate the complexity of ecosystems and the importance of preserving natural habitats. Each migratory species plays an essential role in ecological balance, connecting continents and cultures. The next time you see migratory birds crossing the sky, remember the incredible journey they are undertaking. What did you think of this exploration of bird migration? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to discover other wonders of the world around us.